All right, welcome into another edition of Off the Leash. I'm Ashley Holder. That is Leah Doherty and OBR's Fred Aretha. Mark Schwab is on vacation, enjoying a little bit of much-needed time off and rest and relaxation.
A little bit of the Texas sun, little H-E-B, little Mexican food. I lived that life 2 weeks ago.
I'm sorry, though. Before we get in this podcast, that Texas heat is something else. Like, I could not survive in that type of heat. Like, I don't know how you're from there, so that's all you know. Like, people from Florida say that's all they know, but I could not survive in that type of heat.
He's in so Houston bad. Too, and that's unbearable. Houston heat. That's a different level. I grew up in Austin, which is humid, but that's nowhere near the type of humidity that you have in Houston.
You know what the heat means? The heat means that training camp is around the corner. And that is the only reason why I hate training camp is because of the heat. Like, if they could just put us indoors, there's a little cool air going around, I wouldn't mind training camp. But because we're outside roasting in the sun, I don't know. For one thing, I just don't know how those guys do it, but it's just so hot. And Berea is super hot, and it's humid, too.
And you're lugging around camera equipment. We need to get, one of the large hats that Fred has that I need to do that,
Fred always has the cool super hat.
Everything. I need to do that.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
That was mandated by a doctor,
see?
My coach, you talk about heat. I was a PE teacher, baseball coach in Phoenix, Arizona for 9 years. And I was out. We didn't have a gym at our school. And so I was a PE teacher. I was outside from 7 in the morning to coaching until 5. Talk about training camp. It is. It's the concrete, the asphalt. There's no place to get out of the sun. And the bad news is that the Browns open 2 games in September in Florida, Jacksonville and Tampa Bay. So Todd Monken is he's going to have these guys out there practicing in that heat to try to get them ready for those first 2 games. And it's not going to matter to the media and us watching. We're going to be scrambling to stay alive, during that time.
With our baby fans, too. Those little Amazon fans
and
that
honestly,
we have save us.
I know we have to get to football, guys. I understand that.
This is football related.
But the last thing on that is the fact that the fans kind of make it worse. I realize bringing them out there, I like them, but then it's just swirling around heat, just hot air. And it almost makes me even more hotter.
I don't know what kind of fan you have. My Amazon fan is cold air.
We have the same.
Mine's cold air. Mine blows out cold air. Mine's great.
The air is cool, but when you're outside in the heat, you're essentially just
it's better.
It's taking it from there.
It's better than nothing, though.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So
but I kind of thought I didn't want to be that person, but I kind of want to be the one that has the neck one.
You should
with, the misting coming up.
Yeah,
I actually.
Well, and then your hands free with your camera to shoot and stuff. So. It's not a bad
and then
move.
I might get missed on the camera.
They have it for the players, and so sometimes you got to just kind of walk in front of it to get cooled down.
Yeah, trust me, I walk very slow in front of those fans. I'm like, and I do it in the winter with the heater, too, when they have the heater up there. Okay, but let's get into a little bit of football. While training camp is around the corner, almost there. It's kind of crazy. It's a couple of weeks away at this point. This is where a lot of people start coming out with their rankings and who they feel, is the best in the league to the worst in the league in certain positions. And what we're going to focus on is the DBs today, the cornerbacks position specifically. So Amazon. See, we were talking about Amazon fans.
It's like ESPN, Amazon's reporting.
Amazon's doing it too. ESPN came out with a ranking and they put Denzel Ward as the 7th best cornerback in the league. They have Pat Surtain as the best, and they said he is number 1 by a long shot. It's very interesting, and this is where we're going to have this conversation of, why would Denzel drop from 3rd where he was last year to 7. And they said specifically if Ward was playing for the Patriots or, the Kansas City Chiefs, he would be the best in the league. But because he plays for the Browns, he's like, he's okay. But the number one thing that teams are talking about were Miles and Denzel, staying away from those 2 guys, trying to get away from those guys. And nobody wants to target where Denzel is. So putting him at 7 and saying that Pat Surtain is better by a long shot, that's kind of crazy. And just to put it out there, this is who they have in front of them: Quentin Mitchell from the Eagles, Trent Duffy from the Rams, and then Devin Witherspoon from the Seahawks, Christian Gonzalez from the Patriots, and then Derek Stingley Jr. from the Texans, and then obviously Pat Surtain, the 2nd, as number 1.
It's all exposure, like you see somebody in playoff games, you talk about McDuffie was the Chiefs. Where are they every year? They're usually playing for the AFC Championship or Super Bowl. Now he's going to the Rams to do that. And certain, those are all great players, but I do think nationally televised games last year, I think the Browns had like maybe one, and that was the mandatory. And this year, again, they have one. And so the country's not seeing the guy. All you have to do is see that nobody throws his way, so he doesn't get the interceptions, he doesn't get anything. And except Aaron Rodgers in that Steelers game. For whatever reason, when the game was on the line, he went in the end zone to Ward, and you saw what happened. So, and he's also just turned 29, and I know a 29-year-old is just so old,
Yeah, we're pretty ancient out here. I certainly couldn't be doing what he's doing out on the field. My body would not hold up for that.
I was listening to something was going on my computer today, and I got on the floor, and I was like, "Ooh, let me get up."
Yeah, but I do think playing in Cleveland, no playoffs, let alone deep playoffs, and 29, and and this time of the year, everybody's making a listicle, because they're looking for clicks.
All right, speaking about money and saving some money, the Browns got a little bit of contract relief, salary relief, when it comes to Deshaun Watson's $230 fully guaranteed contract. Reports came out yesterday that the Browns got more than $88 million of cap credits when it comes to Watson's various injuries in Cleveland. Now, a lot of people were thinking this is just money they got. They, like you said, they could have cut him and things like that. But what does this actually really mean of the salary credits when it comes to the cap relief and how this money can help the Browns or not help the Browns, Fred?
Yeah, the salary cap is the dead cap, all these words people hear, it's confusing, and I don't purport to be an expert. We do have an expert on our staff. He actually lives in London, England, Jack Duffin at the OBR, who is an expert, and he's proven to be right almost time and time again. That $88 million that was reported, is misleading to the fact that a lot of that is insurance payments back to the Browns for that. It isn't salary cap relief. They had an insurance policy on Watson for injury. But for fact, just using some numbers, in 2023 when Watson missed time, the Browns got about $1 million in insurance money. In 24, they got about $4.8 million in insurance payment. The 2025 for missing all last year, the reports haven't come back on the salary cap, so they don't even know yet. But this salary cap expert with Over the Cap, as well as with our staff, said he projects it to be 17 to 26 million. Even if you add them all up, they would get about 32 million in insurance reimbursements, which is good for the Browns, but that doesn't help them in the salary cap. That doesn't say, okay, now you can cut the guy and you have the money. It's more cash for an insurance payment and so forth. So I just wanted to clear that up. A lot of people think, oh, they got $88 million, now they can cut him and move on. Even if they could cut him, at this point, I don't think they would, because you're not even sure if his competitor for the starting job is going to beat him out. So there's where you're at there.
All right, we'll take a really quick break on Off the Leash. We'll talk a little bit about money in this week's True False question of the week. We'll be right back. All right, this week's True False question of the week. Mark usually does this thing. I'm not very good at it, but, came up with a little bit of something. Donovan Mitchell got paid today $273 million for a 4-year contract max extension with the Cavaliers. A lot of people around Cleveland, I imagine you are happy. You did not want to see that guy go anywhere. You want to know that he was here to stay. So this brings us to our True False question of the week, okay? You always see these big type of deals when it comes to the NBA. True, false, or do you say it right that way? True, false.
True, false.
True,
Yeah.
True or false? Are NBA players overpaid and NFL players are underpaid? Because if you would look at, if Myles Garrett was still currently on the Browns, he would only be the third highest paid player for the Cavaliers, and Denzel Ward only makes $20 million. I know we say only, we're not making millions, but
only.
You know, when you look at some of these other NBA contracts, it's like a little chump change to what they're getting. So true, they are overpaid, or false, they are not.
It's all relevant, but I'll say false. They're not overpaid because they wouldn't get paid that if they weren't bringing in the amount of money they were bringing in. And, you know, it's like all over. Like baseball, they don't have a salary cap, so it's unlimited. NBA kind of has one, but they're making so much money. That's where the NFL owners is the cash cow, but they have the salary cap, and even though they're exorbitant, it still pales when you just said Myles Garrett would be third on the Cavs. I mean, wow.
That's crazy. I would agree with Fred. False. I don't think they're overpaid. Also, too, you have to look like, obviously with NBA teams, you're paying less guys than you are with an NFL team. And yeah, like Fred said, you're looking at how much money they're bringing in. But you look at a Donovan Mitchell, and I would argue that a star NBA player is more integral to their team than any position outside of a quarterback. Like, I know Myles Garrett was obviously essential to the Browns, but not as essential as Donovan Mitchell is to the Cavs. Like, Donovan Mitchell, they win or lose games based on how Donovan Mitchell performs. Myles Garrett could have a great game, but the offense could still go out there and stink. Like, and he can only do so much. The Browns were a losing team with Myles Garrett. Like, your star NBA player has to be a star consistently. You can have one star on an NFL team, and that's not going to change a season. You know, it could change the Cavs season if Donovan is playing well or he's not, or if he's injured and he's not. And he even took, a little bit of a pay cut, because if he would have waited and done that fifth season, he would have made $80 million more. So technically,
Jose Ramirez, hometown discount.
Yeah, he's incredibly underpaid, and Schwab would stand up on this desk and go off about that. But yeah, so he's saving him, 80 mil technically. But yeah, the fact that he wanted to do the long-term extension, and that, I don't really think there were as many rumors this go around about, is Donovan considering leaving or maybe not signing the extension, like there maybe were the past couple seasons.
But I feel like that's just because LeBron was so heavily in that conversation.
And that's probably why. But I think like time and time again, Donovan has said, I love it here. I want to be here. I don't know how many different times I can tell you guys. And he even said at the very end of last season, he said, I know there's going to be rumors again and there's going to be reports again, but like, I don't know how else to say it. I want to be here and I like being here.
I also believe that. I mean, I do believe Donovan, but I also believe that there's not a lot of people who are going to come up and be like, I hate this team. I want to go.
Yeah, but you also don't see so many people that are like truly
you
so
might get
passionate.
like James Harden doing that if he has a fallout.
Yeah,
with
but
him.
like people that, first off, Donovan's really genuine, so it is easy to believe him. But you don't have as many guys that come up and like genuinely like love the city and are like, no, I love being here and this is what I like to do and I'm here. Like you don't always get that. Like not
it's
a lot
almost
of
interesting when they love it, but then they don't stay here after the season.
Well,
they just get up out of here and don't come back. I'm not
they
saying
have good
I'm not
vacations
targeting
to go on.
I do believe it, but I'm just curious.
Right.
But, I'll say false. I agree with you guys, especially with why you said because it's just naturally because it's small. It's a smaller roster. I think it comes to that. If it wasn't such, if there was 16, I think that they would get just as much. But here's a couple of different numbers. Like NBA players average 11 million to 12 million annually, whereas like NFL players are only averaging 2.8 million to 3.2, which is a significant drop off. And then the median salary basically for NBA is 3.8 million compared to just 860,000 in the NFL, which is always interesting because again, the NFL generates more money than the NBA, right? And then also NBA contracts are almost universally guaranteed, whereas like NFL contracts, you got to get the incentives and other things. They're trying to find a way to make that, and with the bonuses and all that other type of stuff. So it's interesting, but I do feel like in the NBA, we are always consistently seeing these huge contracts come up. It's like 50 million, 60 million, 80 million. I mean, it truly makes me feel underpaid.
It's insane.
I am underpaid for my position, if you ask me. I should be making $3 million.
exactly in the point. You have 5 players really keep. You have subs, but
we only have 4 people in the sports department.
53 on an NFL roster.
Right.
And so there's only room for a couple big ones, and so that's why it's a cash cow in the NFL.
Yeah. And listen
for
here,
the owners.
Our bosses Brian and Scott. I know you're listening to this podcast. I think we need to be making $1 million.
Yeah, we'll go find that somewhere.
That would be interesting. Well, it's not that many people that make that much money on TV now. I'm thinking about like ESPN. They say like Stephen A. Smith, and I think they had what's the other guy that's always yelling on ESPN?
More than Stephen A.
More than he has his own show now.
Colin. Is that no,
literally has his show is set up like a podcast.
McAfee?
Yeah, Pat McAfee. I think they said like he was supposed to be signing for like a record deal like way more than Stephen A, which is interesting because I guess you go on that too of how much money are their shows generating and all the sponsors and syndications and all that stuff like that. But all right, we're gonna take a really quick break on Off the Leash. We'll be right back with a special segment for our Leah Doherty. All right, welcome back to Off the Leash. We're just going to end this podcast talking about something big that happened over the weekend, and that is Cleveland Heights' own Travis Kelce marrying the best performer that Leah thinks is out there, Taylor Swift, and they had the Just and Married on MSG. They were married on Friday at MSG, and I guess she's the first lady of Cleveland now.
How can you not love, right, Ashley?
I do love. I just don't love at MSG.
Okay, but here's my thing, and we have so little details to go off of with this wedding. We really haven't been given much, which I think is great. Like the fact that it was rumored that 1,500 people were invited to this wedding, and we really don't have like photos or a lot of details. Like that's awesome, and like people of that caliber, like if they want to choose to keep that stuff private, like we're not owed anything, so that's up to them. Even though we would all love to see that, but it's smart when you think about it because helicopters, planes couldn't fly over and take pictures. There's no windows. I mean, we were just there. Like, you have your cars that just drive right under. You're not getting photos of people coming and going or entering or anything like that. And so I think it was smart. And also when you have an unlimited budget, like you could turn that into whatever to where it doesn't even look like you're at MSG. But it was cool to see. I mean, it seems like all of the Chiefs were invited. Mike Vrabel and his wife like stepped out and were there together too. And so we did get like a little sneak peek of some of the guests that were going. I know some of his like childhood friends and Cleveland Heights people were there. I wonder if like some of his high school coaches were there. I know we've interviewed some, but I don't know if I ever saw that any of them were there. Of course, like Andy Reid was there. It's just funny, and this is like what I love about their pairing, but the crossover between some of these like real Hollywood elites, like, the J-Los, and it was rumored Beyonce and Jay-Z could have been there, whoever, but like real Hollywood elites, with like
and I don't
George
think that
Kittle out there.
No,
but it's just funny when you're thinking about these people are in the same room. Like George Kittle could have been in the same room as like J-Lo or some of these like big time Hollywood directors. That's just like what's funny about the pairing, that Taylor Swift even like knows who George Kittle is. Some of these just like NFL dudes. And so we have very limited information, but I'm sure it was beautiful and great and lovely.
Yeah. I agreed with a couple of people on what they said on TikTok. One, you're not trying to have a private wedding if you're going to MSG and you're locking down all the streets.
But it was private, was it not?
Right, but I'm just saying you're not trying to be low-key about it. They're trying to make it seem like that. They were not trying to be low-key about it because that's very easy in MSG, first of all. And second of all, I just feel like there was one TikTok creator that was just saying, like, for all the amount of money, and we're probably going to more so say Taylor, who was a billionaire the year that they started, dating and whatever. It's like, babe, you could have did the Met. You could have did the Met. You could have got a beautiful museum, which a lot of those don't always have windows and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking, babe, MSG, and I'm a New Yorker, so to me, I'm like, this dirty little thing, I don't care what you transformed it to. You could have transformed the Met, and you could have transformed countless stunning, classy museums. And I was just a little upset with having that much money, and that's what we decided at MSG.
Yeah, but also too, like,
because we all knew who was going to come anyways. They all had to stay somewhere. So
that's
that
a blank space that you could like completely transform. I don't like, maybe you couldn't build and have the height, and they put in like a stage, and I think people performed, like maybe you couldn't do all that at the Met or stuff like that. And also too, like, maybe Travis was like, I think it'd be cool to get married at MSG. So maybe that's why, like, we have no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think for what we've seen, it seems like it was great and a good wedding, and happy for them. Yeah,
hey,
what are your
I'm all
thoughts?
over this, you know.
I mean,
Taylor and Travis.
I thought
Cleveland lore.
I wanted to know if you thought they had been married ahead of time. This was more of a stage thing. That's what I had heard some things.
Mm-hmm. But most people do. Most people are married. I don't know if you were, but most people do get married. Like, I know my parents were. A lot of my friends already got married and then had the wedding, but not to the point where they were married for years or anything like that. They were married, like they got their license and had that already done and their paperwork all done about like a couple months, if not
you get
right
your
before,
marriage
so
license.
they get everything.
You get your marriage license done ahead of time. Like, we did that a couple months, but that doesn't mean we're married. It means we're like licensed to go and get married. Yeah. But some people do that. A lot of people do that if you're doing like a destination wedding.
Yeah.
Because if you're getting married in Italy or something like that, legally you can't get married there. And so you get married in the States first and then you go and do your ceremony in Italy. But no, I mean, when she did interviews leading up, she was like, oh, you'll know when the wedding is, and like you'll know when it's coming, and like
of course, this girl's wanting to be in a relationship for I don't know how long.
Yeah, and she was like, everyone I know was gonna be invited because she was like, I think the most stressful part of wedding planning is like, you know, cutting down a guest list and stuff like that. And so she was like,
she's a billionaire.
Oh, you'll know, and we'll invite everyone. So I was like, yeah, like you want to keep it private, but also yeah, like of course, you know, it'd be cool to do it in Manhattan. New York is a city that has meaning to both of them, and.
What's his meaning to it?
Good stuff. Well, so she lived there for a long time.
But I'm talking about him.
I think their meaning is like it seems that they spend a lot of time there, like as a couple. And so I don't know if they have a place there together, XYZ. And so I think it has meaning to them, like as a couple going and spending time there.
I think it is cool. It's kind of blue collar meets, you know, like you said,
right,
Hollywood elite type, because I mean, you can tell on his podcast and so forth, him and JC, they're still Cleveland. They're still Clevelanders, and I'm sure it's changed a lot, but I'm thinking about the prenuptial on this thing, you know, like how many lawyers were involved in this. Not that this is the case, but
you got to know.
But $1 billion. He's got some money, but he is not in that class, you know, as far as what he married into, and it's just kind of
you wonder what that prenup looked like. And I know that her lawyers probably made sure that prenup also protects a lot of things that she has, right? And then now the next thing everybody will be talking about is probably like when they're going to have children and things like that. But I thought the Adam Sandler being the officiant was like, what?
That completely came out of left.
That's when I was like, I don't know how much about this wedding. This is
people were like,
not serious.
Travis was allowed to pick one thing, and this was probably his one thing he was allowed.
And I actually could believe that. I totally could believe that. Well, we could be talking about Taylor and Travis and a whole bunch of other stuff for quite some time, but we got to wrap this up. It was, you know, it's just interesting because from week to week, we're just trying to find. What'd you say?
I said I give all I had expertise on the wedding.
Yeah, I mean, you did phenomenal.
Yeah.
You did phenomenal.
Good commentary.
I know that you were on Twitter and Instagram waiting for all those pictures and whatnot to come out, Fred. Don't worry. I know you're secretly a Swiftie over there. Don't you worry. But all right, I got to get out of here because we got the Usher and Chris Brown concert. So, we're going to have to wrap this thing up. But that is another edition of Off the Leash. Make sure you check out the podcast wherever you get your podcasts at. Next week, we'll be right here the same day, same time to do it all over again. For Ashley Holder, Leah Doherty, and OBR's Fred Greetham, this is Off the Leash.